Hey guys, Centurion here at ESO Vault. Welcome to the channel. You thought I was kidding when I said I had an Argonian on the test server. Nope, here he is. Meet Two Shits, an Argonian Nightblade that doesn't give a damn. Two Shits is featured in today's build, Merciless. Merciless is a heavy attack build that uses familiar gear but is different in how it gets off balance. The build takes advantage of the Nightblade's strong class skills kit to really deliver the damage. Before I move on, I'll make the usual disclaimer that this isn't a meta build. Here on the channel, I come up with builds that are going to be more useful for the average gamer with average skills, and that's because I'm an average gamer with average skills. Alright, let's move along and look at the character sheet. So here on the character sheet, you can see for yourself this is indeed an Argonian. Argonians have bonuses to all three attributes, but no actual bonuses to damage, which may surprise you when you see the damage our scaled friend does. They're really set up for being healers with a nice bonus to healing. They have a great bonus to swim speed, but I'm not sure how that's useful in any way. But, as always, I want to encourage you to play a race because you find it interesting, not just for its bonuses. I'll put the tier list for stam races up on the screen. And this is a stamina build, but could easily be a magicka build. Resource consumption is really low on heavy attack builds. I'm using Bewitched Sugar Skulls as my buff food, and that gives me bonuses to all three attributes, plus health recovery. And my Mundus Stone as the Thief for more critical chance. If you're going to go it alone, you can take the Lover, but if you ever intend to group with another human being in the game, the Thief is the way to go. Up top you can see I have all 64 points in stamina, and it's extremely rare that you'll ever see points in anything other than 100% stam or 100% magicka, for a damage dealer setup anyway. Max health is at 28,000 points, just barely getting beat out by stamina at 29,000 points. Weapon damage is sitting at 4,300 and weapon crit is at 53%. Pretty typical heavy attack setup numbers. Resistances are strong at nearly 20,000, and that's because of the Oaken Soul Ring, which is a part of most heavy attack setups. Alright, let's look at the skills, which are the most important part on any build. The first skill I'll use in a fight will be Dark Shade from my class skills kit. This shadowy version of myself will attack enemies for 22 seconds with a slash attack and an AoE spin attack. Next I'll use Elemental Susceptibility, which lowers my target's armor and inflicts them with the 3 elemental status effects every 7 seconds. This is from the Destruction Staff skill line and is better than ever with the increased damage from status effects in Update 41. After I've used those two skills, I start holding down my heavy attack button and I don't let off. I'll queue up my next skill by hitting the button during my heavy attack, and I'll use all my skills the same way from here on out. First I'll queue up my main spammable, and that's Surprise Attack, which comes from my class skills. And yes, this is a melee build even though I'm using a staff. Most Nightblade builds are melee regardless of whether they're spec'd into magicka or stamina. Their melee skills are just too powerful to ignore. Surprise Attack applies the Sunder status effect, reducing my enemy's armor by 3,000 points. If I use this from the flank, it's a critical hit, and it sets my enemy off balance. This is my source of off balance, and off balance enemies take 70% more damage from heavy attacks. Off balance will be active for 7 seconds and then have a cooldown of 15 seconds, so I don't have this all the time. But it's up long enough to substantially increase my damage. If I can't get close to an enemy to use Surprise Attack, I don't worry because odds are somebody else in my group is applying off balance. But when I see the boss's big juicy backside, I get in there and spam this while I'm doing my heavy attacks. I'll keep using Surprise Attack until my next skill is ready or Shade or Elemental Susceptibility need to be refreshed. Remember, I'm holding down the heavy attack button the whole time. Heavy attacks do the majority of the damage, so that's the #1 priority. After that, I'll work in the highest damage skill that's ready, or as I said, a damage over time skill that's expiring. The next skill is Merciless Resolve. Every heavy attack I do gives me 2 stacks of Merciless Resolve. Each stack will increase my weapon damage by 60. This will stack 5 times. At max stacks, I can fire the Spectral Bow for huge damage. When this is ready, I'll queue this up instead of Surprise Attack. The Spectral Bow will heal me for half the damage it does if I'm in melee range. I have the option of not firing the bow and saving it for when I need a heal, and you'll see me do that in the fight at the end of the video. While I'm sitting on a fully charged Spectral Bow, I'll have 300 extra points of weapon damage, so either way it's a win. I don't use this next skill, I just slot it for passive healing. Leeching Strikes is another Nightblade class skill, and every time I do damage it heals me for 2,000 points, regardless of which bar I'm on. Between this, heals from Merciless Resolve, and a Tri-Stat Potion, this character is pretty hard to kill. My last skill is Incapacitating Strike, which, you guessed it, is a Nightblade class skill. This does a small amount of disease damage, but more importantly, causes the enemy to take 20% more damage for 8 seconds. 20%, that's huge. If I cast it with 120 ultimate, the increased damage will last for 12 seconds. Okay, since this is a 1-bar build, that's all the skills. Oh, look at the time, I gotta get going. I'm supposed to meet a guy named Bastion Hallex in Bankarai. Hey there, Bastion Hallex?
At your service.
I didn't get to talk to the agency very long. What's your skill set like?
I've had some mage training, so I'm pretty handy with the destruction stuff. I'm also a decent sword and board man. You know, one-handed weapon and shield.
Perfect, and you got your sword and shield with you. Let's get to work. I use Shade, Elemental Susceptibility, and my ultimate, Incapacitating Strike. Then I go straight into a heavy attack, and I'm going to hold that button down for the entire fight if I can. I'll prioritize the highest damage skills while I try to flank this guy to set him off balance with Surprise Attack. My ultimate is my highest priority skill. Then comes Merciless Resolve. If neither of them is ready, I'll refresh Shade or Elemental Susceptibility if they need it. If none of those are ready, I'll fill in that spot with Surprise Attack. I'm glad Able-Body sent this guy. He's a halfway decent tank, but he has a special ability he didn't mention. 51,000 points of damage per second, and Bastion did practically 0 damage to the boss. So why am I glad he came along? Well, while doing almost no damage himself, he did hold aggro most of the time. But that's not all he did. He also buffed my heavy attack damage by a whopping 15%. And that's his special ability. He buffs heavy attack damage. 4,000 to 5,000 points of DPS was just from bringing Bastion along for the ride. If you go solo with a companion a lot of the time and you run a heavy attack build, consider Bastion. I know his goody-goody attitude can be annoying, but that's a lot of extra damage. Without Bastion, the build typically hits 46,000 to 47,000, which is the strongest heavy attack setup I've done. Okay, you've seen the build at work, so let's look at the gear. I'm running the 5-piece Sergeant's Mail set, and that comes from Wayrest Sewers. This is the main set you want on a heavy attack build, and you're in luck because Wayrest Sewers is one of the easier dungeons. You want to farm the lightning staff shown here, the amulet, a ring, and 1 body piece. And that's because this set only comes in heavy, and since heavy doesn't help damage dealers at all, you don't want it on your body. The staff is in the precise trait, and it'll be a lot easier for you if you do crafting and can change traits instead of having to farm the right one. My next item also comes from Wayrest Sewers, and that's the Slime Cross set. You want to wear 1 piece, and it can be the head or the shoulders. It's up to you. Of course, you can buy the shoulders with Undaunted keys. This 1 piece is here just for the extra critical chance it gives me. My next set I have is Storm Master, and that's a 5-piece set that comes from Tempest Island. Storm Master, like Sergeant's Mail, buffs heavy attacks. Some of you guys watching have brought up using other sets such as Deadly Strike as the second set. If you already have Deadly, by all means run Deadly. The fact is, I found it very hard to tell the difference here. They were neck and neck. But for me, Storm Master did in fact produce the best results. Highest DPS results were with Storm Master consistently. Again though, they were very close, so I'd say if you already have Deadly, just run Deadly. Deadly has an advantage here in that you can buy it from guild traders. The final piece of the puzzle is the Oaken Soul Ring, and as far as mythics go, that's not a bad one to farm. But you do need to have the Antiquity skill line leveled. The Oaken Soul Ring increases the damage of your heavy attacks by 70% and gives you all the essential buffs you need as a damage dealer. This is really an essential piece of gear on this one. Level the Antiquity skill line, get the gear. Body pieces here are all medium except for 1 heavy, and the trait is Divines. Jewelry is in the Bloodthirsty trait and has weapon damage enchantments. I like weapon damage enchants here because my Spamble is a stam skill, and weapon enchants on the jewelry give me stamina recovery. If you already have spell damage glyphs on yours, don't change. They'll work fine. Alright, that's it for the gear. Champion points on this one are Fighting Finesse, Weapons Expert, Deadly Aim, and Wrathful Strikes.
I'm glad we met. Together, there's no challenge we can't overcome, and no foe we can't defeat.
You had a good day, Bastion, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. If I need you tomorrow, I'll call Able-Body. I don't know if I bought that holier-than-thou BS. He smelled like a brewery. We'll see how he does next time. Well, that's it for today's build video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to crush that like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Fashion show and a fight at the end if you want to hang around for that. Thanks for watching. As always, have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel.